Maya Chen walked into the big airport feeling tired. She had worked very hard for many months on a big business deal. Now, all she wanted was to go home and rest. Maya wore simple blue jeans and a plain gray hoodie. Her black hair was tied back in a simple ponytail. She carried just one small backpack with her important things. Most people walking past Maya did not look twice at her. No one knew she was one of the richest women in the country. Maya liked it that way. She never dressed to show off her money. She believed actions were more important than looks. Maya checked in for her flight and got her ticket. The airline worker smiled at her, not knowing who she was. "Enjoy your flight in first class, Ms. Chen," the worker said. Maya nodded and walked toward the security area. She had started from nothing 20 years ago. Her parents had come to America with only $200 in their pockets. They had worked cleaning jobs while Maya studied hard in school. Now, at 34, Maya had built something amazing, but she never forgot where she came from. After going through security, Maya bought a simple coffee and sat waiting for her flight. She watched as business people rushed past in fancy suits, talking loudly on phones. She saw families with excited children heading for vacations. Maya smiled, thinking how all these different people would soon be on planes, flying high above the clouds. "Now boarding first-class passengers for Flight 827 to San Francisco," said a voice over the speaker. Maya picked up her small bag and walked to the gate. She stood in line with other first-class passengers. Most wore expensive clothes and carried fancy bags. A few gave Maya strange looks, wondering why someone dressed so simply was in the first-class line. As Maya handed her ticket to the gate worker, a tall man in a gray suit pushed past her. "Excuse me," Maya said quietly. The man turned and looked down at her. His eyes moved from her simple shoes to her plain hoodie. "The economy line is over there," he said with a smirk, pointing to a longer line of people. "I'm in first class," Maya said calmly, showing her ticket. The man raised his eyebrows. "Really? How lucky for you." His voice made it clear he thought Maya didn't belong there. Maya said nothing. She had dealt with people like him her whole life. People who judged others by their clothes or how they looked. She simply walked past him onto the plane. The inside of the plane was beautiful. Soft, wide seats in cream leather. Small lamps giving warm light. Flight attendants in neat uniforms smiled as people came aboard. "Welcome aboard, Ms. Chen. Your seat is 2A, by the window," said a friendly flight attendant named David. He did not treat Maya differently because of her simple clothes. Maya found her seat and put her small bag under the chair in front. She sat down and looked out the window at the busy airport. Workers loaded bags into the plane. Other planes took off into the blue sky. Then she felt someone standing next to her seat. It was the same tall man from before. He looked annoyed. "I think you're in the wrong seat," he said loudly. "My business partner is supposed to sit here." Other passengers turned to look. Maya felt her cheeks get warm as everyone stared. "Let me see your ticket again," the man demanded, holding out his hand as if Maya had made a mistake. Maya took a deep breath. This was supposed to be a peaceful trip home. Now it seemed it would be anything but peaceful. Maya looked up at the tall man standing over her. His face was red with anger. 3 other people in business suits stood behind him, watching. "I need to check if you're in the right seat," the man said again, his voice getting louder. David, the flight attendant, came over quickly. "Is there a problem, sir?" he asked. "Yes, there is," the man said. "This person is sitting in my colleague's seat." He waved his hand at Maya as if she was not important. "May I see your boarding pass, ma'am?" David asked Maya politely. Maya handed over her ticket without a word. She felt many eyes watching her from all around the first-class cabin. Her cheeks burned with shame, but she kept her face calm. David looked at Maya's ticket, then checked his small computer tablet. "Ms. Chen is in the correct seat, sir. Seat 2A is assigned to her." The man's face got even redder. "There must be a mistake. My company bought 5 seats together. Check again." David tapped on his tablet. I'm sorry, sir. Your company booked seats 2B, 2C, 2D, and 2E. Seat 2A was already taken by Ms. Chen. This is not acceptable, the man said. He pulled out a gold card from his wallet. I am Roger Wilson. I have the highest level of membership with this airline. I've flown over 2 million miles. My company spends thousands of dollars on tickets every month. People were now openly staring. Some looked uncomfortable. Others seemed interested in the drama. I understand, Mr. Wilson, David said calmly, but I cannot move Ms. Chen. Her ticket is for this seat. Roger looked down at Maya with cold eyes. Do you know how much a first-class ticket costs? He asked her. Maya said nothing. She just looked back at him calmly. I bet you got some kind of special deal, Roger said with a mean smile. Or maybe your company sent you first class by mistake. People like you don't normally fly first class. Maya still stayed quiet. She had learned long ago that arguing with people like Roger only made things worse. Sir, please take your seat, David said firmly. We need to prepare for takeoff. Roger finally sat down next to Maya in seat 2B, still angry. His 4 colleagues sat across the aisle and behind them. They all kept looking at Maya and whispering. This is Laura, Roger said loudly into his phone. You won't believe what happened. Your seat was given to someone else. Yes, some girl in a hoodie. Probably her first time in first class. Maya looked out the window, trying to ignore him. She watched as luggage was loaded onto the plane. She had helped design this exact plane model 3 years ago. Every detail of the first-class cabin, from the soft leather seats to the special lighting, had been her idea. Excuse me, Roger said to another flight attendant, a woman named Sarah. When do we get our welcome drinks? I need a glass of champagne after this situation. Sarah smiled politely. Right away, sir. Roger turned to his friends. At least the champagne will be good. It's the only reason I fly this airline. Maya almost smiled at that. Roger had no idea that she had personally chosen the champagne served on these flights. She had visited 5 different vineyards in France to find the perfect one. The plane began to move away from the gate. Maya took a deep breath. It would be a 3-hour flight to San Francisco. 3 hours sitting next to this unpleasant man. Sarah returned with a tray of champagne glasses. Champagne, sir? She asked Roger. Yes, for me and my colleagues, Roger said, taking a glass. He pointed at Maya. Not for her, though. I'm sure she doesn't know good champagne from cheap soda. Maya looked up at Sarah. Their eyes met, and for a second, Maya thought she saw a flash of recognition in the flight attendant's face. Sarah, the flight attendant, looked at Maya for a few seconds longer than normal. Then she smiled and asked, Would you like a drink, Ms. Chen? Before Maya could answer, Roger laughed. Don't waste the good stuff on her. She probably wants a soda. Sarah ignored Roger. She waited for Maya's answer. Water is fine. Thank you, Maya said quietly. Are you sure? Sarah asked. We have an excellent champagne today. Maya nodded. Just water, please. Sarah left to get Maya's water. Roger turned to his friends across the aisle. Can you believe this? First, she takes Laura's seat. Now she doesn't even want the free champagne. What's the point of flying first class if you don't enjoy it? Maya took out a small notebook from her backpack. She began to write some notes about the flight. She wrote about the lighting in the cabin. She thought it could be better. She noted how the seats felt. She wrote about the noise level. These were all things she could improve. The plane took off smoothly. Roger and his friends drank their champagne and talked loudly about their business deal. They were going to San Francisco to buy a small tech company. They talked about how they would fire most of the workers after they bought the company. Those coders think they're so important, Roger said, but they're easy to replace with cheaper people from overseas. Maya kept writing in her notebook. She had been in many meetings like the one Roger was going to. But Maya always tried to keep jobs when she bought companies. She believed the people were the most valuable part of any business. After 30 minutes in the air, the captain's voice came over the speakers. "Ladies and gentlemen, we've reached our cruising altitude of 35,000 feet. The weather looks good all the way to San Francisco. Flight attendants will begin meal service soon." Sarah came back to the first-class cabin. "Mr. Wilson, what would you like for lunch?" "We have grilled chicken or beef tenderloin today." "Beef for me and my colleagues," Roger said without asking his friends what they wanted. "The beef on this airline is usually decent." Maya almost smiled again. She had hired the chef who created all the meals for the airline. The beef was cooked using a special method that Maya had suggested herself. "And for you, Ms. Chen?" Sarah asked. "Chicken, please," Maya said. While they waited for their food, Roger made a phone call. He talked very loudly, not caring that other people could hear him. "Yeah, we're on the plane now," he said. "First class, of course, though there was a mix-up with the seating. Some nobody is sitting in Laura's spot." He looked at Maya when he said this. Maya continued to write in her notebook. Now she was making notes about how to improve the sound in the cabin. Maybe they could make the seats block more noise from other passengers. The food arrived. Roger's beef looked perfect, with shiny sauce and green vegetables on the side. Mina's chicken also looked good, with a golden color and fresh herbs on top. Roger took one bite of his beef and nodded. "Not bad," he said to his friends. "At least they do something right on this airline." The service has been going downhill lately, though. Sarah, who was serving drinks to other passengers, heard this comment. She looked at Maya with worry in her eyes. Maya gave her a small, calm smile to show it was okay. As they ate, the plane hit some rough air. It shook a little. Roger's drink spilled on his expensive suit. "Damn it," he shouted. "This is a $5,000 suit." He pressed the call button angrily. When David came over, Roger demanded, "I need club soda right away. And this airline should pay for my dry cleaning." David quickly brought the club soda. "I'm very sorry, sir. I'll get you a form for the dry cleaning claim." Roger used a napkin to clean his suit. He was still angry. "This is why I usually fly Golden Sky Airlines. Their planes don't shake like this. Their service is much better. I'm only on this flight because my assistant booked it wrong." Maya stopped writing in her notebook. Golden Sky was her airline's biggest competitor. 5 years ago, Maya had almost lost her company to them, but she had worked day and night to make her airline better. Now her company, Horizon Airlines, was the top airline in the country. Just then, the plane shook again. This time, Maya's water spilled onto her jeans. "Ha," Roger said with a mean smile. "Now you know how it feels." Maya looked down at her wet jeans. She calmly took a napkin and dabbed at the water spot. She didn't seem upset at all. "Aren't you going to call the flight attendant and complain like I did?" Roger asked with a smirk. "It's just water," Maya said. "It will dry." Roger shook his head. "This is why you don't belong in first class. You don't know how to demand proper service." Maya went back to her notebook. She had an idea about adding seat belts that would better hold drinks in place during bumpy flights. She quickly wrote it down. Roger looked over at her notebook. "What are you writing?" "A diary about your first fancy flight." He laughed and turned to his friends. "She's probably writing about how exciting it is to be in first class." Maya closed her notebook. She put it back in her backpack, along with her pen. Sarah came to collect their empty food trays. "Can I get you anything else, Ms. Chen?" she asked. "No, thank you," Maya said. "How about some dessert?" Sarah suggested. "We have a special chocolate cake today." Maya thought for a moment. "All right, I'll try the cake." When Sarah left, Roger leaned over to Maya. "You know why the flight attendants are being so nice to you. They feel sorry for you. They can tell you don't belong here." Maya said nothing. She had dealt with men like Roger her whole life. When she started her company 10 years ago, many business people had laughed at her. They said a young woman couldn't run an airline. They were wrong. Sarah returned with a small plate of chocolate cake. It looked rich and delicious. Here you are, Ms. Chen. I hope you enjoy it. Did you know, Sarah said quietly to Maya, this cake is made from a special recipe. I heard the owner of the airline created it herself. Maya looked surprised. Then she smiled a little. Is that so? She asked. Yes, Sarah continued. Our CEO is quite amazing. She started with one small plane and built the whole airline from nothing. Now we have over 200 planes. Roger was listening now. The CEO is a woman? He asked, sounding surprised. Yes, sir, Sarah replied. Maya Chen. She's one of the youngest airline CEOs in the world. Roger's eyes got big. He looked at Maya. Then he looked at Sarah. Maya Chen, he said slowly. Sarah nodded. Yes, sir. In fact, she looked at Maya as if asking a question with her eyes. Maya gave a small shake of her head. She wasn't ready to reveal who she was. Not yet. Sarah understood. In fact, Ms. Chen is known for flying on her own planes often. She likes to experience what her customers experience. Interesting, Roger said. He seemed less sure of himself now. He looked at Maya more carefully. Your name is Chen too? He asked. Yes, Maya said simply. It's a common name, Roger said, more to himself than to Maya. Maya ate her chocolate cake slowly. It was her mother's recipe. When Maya was a child, her mother made this cake only on special days because they couldn't afford it often. Now Maya made sure it was served on all her flights. This cake is good, Maya said to Sarah, but I think it needs a bit more vanilla. Sarah smiled. I'll make sure to pass that feedback to our food service team. Roger watched this exchange with narrowed eyes. He seemed confused by the way Sarah treated Maya with such respect. The captain's voice came over the speakers again. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about halfway to San Francisco. We expect to land on time. The weather in San Francisco is sunny, 75 degrees. Roger took out his phone and began typing quickly. He seemed to be searching for something. Maya noticed him typing Maya Chen Airline CEO into his search app. She smiled to herself. Roger was starting to wonder if the woman in the hoodie sitting next to him was more important than he had thought. But without internet connection on the plane, Roger couldn't confirm his suspicion. He put his phone away, looking frustrated. So, Roger said in a different tone, much nicer than before, what do you do for work, Miss Chen? Maya looked at Roger with calm eyes. His sudden interest in her job made her want to smile, but she kept her face serious. I work in the travel business, she said simply. Roger nodded eagerly. That's interesting. What company do you work for? I started my own company, Maya said. Roger sat up straighter. Really? Your own company? That's impressive. His voice was much nicer now, not mean like before. One of Roger's friends across the aisle looked confused by his sudden change. Roger, weren't you just saying? Paul, could you pass me that business magazine in your bag? Roger interrupted quickly. He didn't want his friend to remind Maya of his rude comments. Paul handed over the magazine. On the cover was a picture of a large airplane with Top Airlines of the Year written in big letters. Roger flipped through the pages quickly. He stopped at one page and stared at it hard. Then he looked at Maya, then back at the page. His face turned pale. Maya knew what he was looking at. Last month, that magazine had done a story about her. There was a small picture of her in a business suit, standing in front of one of her planes. The picture didn't show her very clearly, but it was enough for someone to recognize her if they were looking carefully. So, Roger said, his voice now shaking a little, what kind of company did you start? Before Maya could answer, David came to their seats. Miss Chen, the captain would like to know if you would visit the cockpit after we land. He has some feedback about the new radio system. Maya nodded. Tell him I'll be happy to. Roger's eyes got very wide. Now he was sure. Flight attendants didn't invite regular passengers to the cockpit to talk about radio systems. "You're her, aren't you?" Roger whispered. "You're Maya Chen, the CEO." Maya didn't answer. She just looked at him calmly. Roger's face was now very red, but for a different reason than before. He was embarrassed. I wasn't. David smiled. "Can I get you anything else, Ms. Chen?" "No, thank you, David," Maya said. After David left, Roger leaned closer to Maya. "I want to apologize," he said quietly. "I had no idea who you were. If you had known I was the CEO, you would have treated me differently," Maya asked. Roger nodded quickly. "Of course, I would never have spoken that way to someone of your position. But it was okay to speak that way to a regular person?" Maya asked. Roger didn't know what to say. He opened his mouth, then closed it again. Maya looked out the window at the clouds below. "I started this airline because I believe everyone deserves respect when they travel, no matter what seat they're in or what clothes they wear." Roger looked down at his hands. For the first time, he seemed truly sorry. 10 years ago, Maya continued, I was flying economy class on another airline. The flight attendant was rude to me because of how I looked. I promised myself that if I ever had my own airline, every passenger would be treated with respect. "I understand," Roger said quietly. "And I truly am sorry." Maya turned to look at him. "I don't want your apology because I'm the CEO. I want you to understand that you should treat everyone with respect, no matter who you think they are." Roger nodded slowly. He seemed to be thinking hard about what Maya said. Just then, a light on the ceiling began to flash. The seatbelt sign turned on. "Ladies and gentlemen," the captain's voice said, "we're experiencing some turbulence. Please return to your seats and fasten your seatbelts." The plane began to shake more strongly than before. Some passengers gasped. A child in economy started crying. "Is this normal?" Roger asked, looking worried. He gripped the armrests tightly. "Yes," Maya said calmly. "Just a pocket of rough air. It will pass soon." The plane dropped suddenly, like going down a steep hill. Drinks spilled. A bag fell from an overhead bin. "Are you sure we're okay?" Roger asked, his face now white with fear. "I'm sure," Maya said. "This plane was built to handle much worse conditions. I personally checked the safety features myself." As if to prove her wrong, there was a loud bang, and the plane shook hard. The lights flickered. "What was that?" Roger asked, his voice high with fear. The captain's voice came over the speakers again. "Ladies and gentlemen, we've had a small technical issue. Please remain calm and stay in your seats." The plane continued to shake. Some people started to cry. Others held hands with the person next to them. Roger looked very scared. "We're going to crash," he said in a shaky voice. Maya shook her head. "No, we're not. This is a strong plane." The captain's voice came over the speakers again. "Ladies and gentlemen, one of our engines is having a small problem. We have shut it down as a safety measure. We can fly perfectly well on our other engine. We will land in San Francisco in about 45 minutes. Roger looked at Maya with wide eyes. "One engine? Is that safe?" "Yes," Maya said calmly. "These planes are built to fly even if one engine stops working. The pilots train for this exact situation." Sarah, the flight attendant, walked through the cabin, checking on passengers. She stopped at Maya's seat. "Ms. Chen, the captain would like to speak with you." Maya nodded and unbuckled her seatbelt. "Wait," Roger said, grabbing her arm. "You can't go now. It's not safe to walk around." "It's okay," Maya assured him. "I need to check on something." Maya followed Sarah to the front of the plane. The other passengers watched her go. Some looked confused about why a regular passenger would be called to speak with the captain during a problem. When they reached the cockpit door, Sarah knocked 3 times. The door opened, and Maya stepped inside. The captain, A man with gray hair named Bill looked relieved to see her. "Ms. Chen, thank you for coming. Engine 2 shut down. The computer says it's overheating." Maya looked at the control panel. She knew this plane very well. She had helped design many of its systems. "Have you tried resetting the sensor?" she asked. The co-pilot nodded. "Yes, but it didn't help. We think the sensor itself might be broken." Maya thought for a moment. "Let me see the engine readings." She looked at the screen showing all the engine data. After studying it, she pointed to one number. "Look at the oil pressure. It's normal. If the engine was really overheating, the oil pressure would be different." The captain nodded slowly. "So you think it's just a bad sensor?" "I'm almost sure of it," Maya said. "But keeping the engine off is the right choice for now. Safety first." Meanwhile, in the cabin, Roger was telling everyone around him who Maya really was. "She's the CEO of the airline," he said to the person behind him. "She owns the whole company." People started whispering and looking toward the cockpit. The news spread quickly through the first-class cabin, then to the business class, and then to economy. Back in the cockpit, Maya was calling the airline's main office using the plane's special phone. "This is Maya Chen," she said. "I need to speak with our head engineer about a possible sensor problem on Flight 827. After a short talk with the engineer, Maya hung up. He agrees it's probably just a bad sensor. The engine is most likely fine, but we should still land with just one engine to be safe." The captain nodded. "Thank you, Ms. Chen. We'll be starting our descent to San Francisco in 10 minutes. Maya left the cockpit and walked back to her seat. As she walked, she noticed people looking at her differently now. Some smiled at her. Others looked surprised. One woman even took a picture with her phone. When Maya sat down, Roger was waiting with big eyes. "You went to help the pilots?" he asked in amazement. "I just looked at some data," Maya said simply. "Everyone knows who you are now," Roger told her. "I might have mentioned it to a few people." Maya sighed. She had hoped to keep her identity secret for the whole flight. She liked being treated like a normal person. It helped her see how her airline was really working. The captain's voice came over the speakers once more. "Ladies and gentlemen, I have good news. The engine issue appears to be just a sensor problem. There is no danger. However, as a safety precaution, we will continue to fly with one engine. We expect to land in San Francisco on time." People around the cabin clapped and cheered. Many looked at Maya with new respect in their eyes. "Did you fix the problem?" a little boy asked from the seat behind Maya. Maya turned and smiled at him. "No, the pilots fixed it. They're very good at their jobs." "But my dad said you own the whole airplane," the boy said. "Not just this airplane," Maya explained kindly. "Many airplanes." "Cool," the boy said with big eyes. For the rest of the flight, people kept looking at Maya. Some took pictures. Others tried to come up to her seat to talk to her. Sarah and David, the flight attendants, had to politely ask people to stay in their seats. "I'm sorry about telling everyone," Roger said to Maya. He looked truly sorry now. "I thought they should know the airline owner was helping with the problem." Maya nodded. "It's okay. I just prefer to travel quietly sometimes. It helps me see how things really work on my planes." Roger looked down at his hands. "I behaved very badly to you. I feel so ashamed now." "Everyone makes mistakes," Maya said. "The important thing is to learn from them." The plane began to point down slightly as it started to descend toward San Francisco. Through the window, Maya could see the golden hills of California below. "Can I ask you something?" Roger said. "How did you build such a successful airline? You're so young." Maya smiled a little. "I'm 34. That's not so young. I started with one small plane 10 years ago. I focused on treating people well and fixing the things that other airlines did poorly." "Like what?" Roger asked. He seemed truly interested now. "Like making people feel bad because of how they look or what they wear," Maya said, looking straight at Roger, or making the seats too small, or serving bad food, or having unfriendly staff. Roger nodded, understanding her point. I never thought about all that. I just complained when things weren't perfect. Most passengers want the same things, Maya explained. They want to be safe. They want to be comfortable. They want to be treated with respect. It's not complicated. The captain announced that they would be landing in 20 minutes. The flight attendants started to prepare the cabin. A man from economy class walked up to Maya's seat. "Ms. Chen," he said excitedly, "I just want to say I love flying your airline. I fly at least twice a month for work." "Thank you," Maya said with a kind smile. "I'm glad you enjoy it. The free snacks are the best," the man added before going back to his seat. More people started coming up to Maya. An old woman thanked her for the comfortable seats. A mother told her how much she appreciated the special kids' meals. The businesswoman said she always chose Horizon Airlines because the internet was faster than on other airlines. Roger watched all this with surprise. He had never thought about all the small things that made people choose one airline over another. "Ms. Chen," said David, "we need to prepare for landing now. Could everyone please return to their seats?" The people around Maya's seat went back to their places. David leaned down and whispered to Maya, "The captain says the airport has put out emergency vehicles as a precaution, but he expects a normal landing." Maya thanked him for the information. She wasn't worried. She knew the pilots were excellent. As the plane got lower, Maya could see the buildings of San Francisco getting closer. The city looked beautiful with the blue bay around it. "I've been thinking," Roger said suddenly. "I want to make things right. Would you let me make a donation to a charity of your choice? To apologize for how I treated you?" Maya looked at him with surprise. "That's a kind offer. But I have a different idea." "What is it?" Roger asked. "You said your company is buying a small tech company and planning to fire many workers, right?" Maya asked. Roger nodded, looking uncomfortable. "Yes, that's the plan. It saves money." "What if you didn't fire them?" Maya suggested. "What if you kept them and used their talent instead?" Roger frowned. "But that would cost more. Our investors expect us to cut costs." "Sometimes keeping good people is worth more in the long run," Maya said. "Those workers might create something amazing if you give them a chance." The plane was getting very close to the ground now. Maya could see cars on the roads below. "That's how I built my airline," she continued. "I believed in people when others didn't. And look what happened." The plane's wheels touched the runway with a small bump. People clapped and cheered, relieved to be safely on the ground. As the plane slowed down, Roger looked thoughtful. "I'll think about what you said," he promised. "Maybe there's another way to make the deal work without losing those jobs." Maya smiled. Perhaps this difficult flight had changed more than just Roger's view of her. Maybe it had changed how he would treat others in the future too. The plane taxied to the gate slowly. Outside, Maya could see the emergency vehicles that the airport had sent, just in case. Their lights were flashing, but they weren't needed. The landing had been perfect. "Ladies and gentlemen," the captain's voice said over the speakers, "welcome to San Francisco. The local time is 2:15 p.m., and the weather is sunny and 75 degrees. Please remain seated until we reach the gate and turn off the seatbelt sign." Maya took out her phone and turned it on. Right away, it started to buzz with messages and emails. News about the engine problem had already reached the company's main office. "Is everything okay?" Roger asked, noticing her serious face. "Yes," Maya said. "My team is checking what happened with the engine sensor. We need to make sure it doesn't happen on other planes." Roger nodded. "Safety first, right?" "Always," Maya agreed. The plane stopped at the gate. The seatbelt sign turned off with a ding. People started to stand up and get their bags from the overhead bins. David's voice came over the speakers. "Ladies and gentlemen, we have a special announcement. We would like to thank our CEO, Maya Chen, who is on this flight today and helped us with the engine issue. Ms. Chen, Thank you for flying with us." People throughout the plane clapped and cheered. Many turned to look at Maya, who gave a small, shy wave. As Maya stood up to get her backpack, Roger cleared his throat. "Ms. Chen, I have something for you." He took out a business card and handed it to her. "This is my contact information. I meant what I said about rethinking our company's plans. If you have time, I'd like to discuss it further." Maya took the card and nodded. "I'll be in touch, Mr. Wilson. Please, call me Roger," he said with a genuine smile. As Maya walked toward the front of the plane, passengers smiled and thanked her. Some held out their phones, asking for selfies. Maya stopped and took pictures with a few of them. At the front of the plane, the entire crew was waiting to thank her. The captain had come out of the cockpit to shake her hand. "Thank you for your help, Ms. Chen," he said. "Your insight about the sensor was spot on. Maintenance is already waiting to check it." "You handled everything perfectly, Captain," Maya said. "I'm proud to have you flying our planes." As Maya walked off the plane and into the jet bridge, she noticed something unusual. At the end of the bridge, a group of people were waiting. They wore the blue uniforms of Horizon Airlines. There were at least 20 of them. When Maya reached the terminal, the group of employees broke into applause. One woman stepped forward with a bouquet of flowers. "Ms. Chen," she said, "we heard about what happened on the flight. The whole San Francisco team wanted to be here to thank you." Maya was touched. She hadn't expected this. "Thank you all," she said, taking the flowers. "But I didn't do anything special. The crew handled everything perfectly." "It's not just about today," the woman explained. "It's about everything you've done for us over the years. You created a company where we're proud to work. When we heard you were on that plane, none of us were worried. We knew everything would be okay." Maya felt tears in her eyes. This was why she had built her airline. Not just for money or success, but to create something good that people valued. As she walked through the terminal with her employees, Maya noticed Roger watching from a distance. He was standing with his business friends, but he wasn't talking to them. He was just watching Maya with her team, seeing how they respected and cared for her. Maya gave him a small nod. Roger nodded back, a thoughtful look on his face. Outside the airport, a black car was waiting for Maya. The driver jumped out to open the door for her. "Good afternoon, Ms. Chen," he said. "Welcome to San Francisco." Maya was about to get into the car when she heard someone calling her name. She turned to see the little boy from the plane running toward her, with his parents following behind. "Ms. Chen," the boy called. "I forgot to ask you something important." Maya smiled and bent down to his level. "What is it?" "How do I get to be like you when I grow up?" the boy asked, his eyes wide and serious. "How do I build my own airplane company?" Maya looked at the boy's eager face. In him, she saw herself as a child, full of big dreams that everyone said were impossible. Maya smiled at the little boy. His question took her back to when she was young with big dreams. "What's your name?" she asked him. "Tommy," the boy said. "I'm 8. Maya thought for a moment. She wanted to give him real advice, not just easy words. "Well, Tommy," she said, "the first step is to believe in yourself, even when others don't. When I started, many people laughed at my idea." Tommy nodded seriously. "My teacher says I have too many ideas." "There's no such thing as too many ideas," Maya told him. "The second step is to learn everything you can. I study business, but I also learned about planes and engines and computers. I like science and math," Tommy said proudly. "Perfect. That will help you," Maya said. "And the third step is the most important. Be kind to people. Treat everyone with respect, no matter who they are." Tommy's parents smiled warmly at Maya. "Thank you for taking the time to talk to him," Tommy's mother said. "It's my pleasure," Maya replied. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small pin with the Horizon Airlines logo. "Here, Tommy, this is for you, to remind you that big dreams can come true." Tommy's eyes grew wide as he took the pin. "Wow, thank you. I'm going to start my airplane company tomorrow." Everyone laughed. Maya waved goodbye to Tommy and his family and got into her car. As the car drove away from the airport, Maya thought about the strange day she had experienced. What had started as an unpleasant encounter with Roger had turned into something meaningful. Maybe he would change how he treated people. Maybe he would save those jobs at the tech company. Her phone rang. It was her assistant. "Maya, are you okay? We heard about the engine problem." "I'm fine," Maya assured her. "It was just a bad sensor. The plane landed safely." "Good. Also, the news about you being on the flight is all over social media now. People are sharing stories about how you helped with the engine problem." Maya sighed. She hadn't wanted attention, but maybe some good would come from it. 3 days later, Maya was back in her office in Chicago. She was looking at reports about the sensor problem when her assistant came in. "Maya, there's a package for you." The assistant placed a small box on Maya's desk. There was a card with it. Maya opened the card first. "Dear Ms. Chen, thank you for the lesson in humility and leadership. I'm pleased to tell you that we have decided not to cut any jobs at Tech Solutions. Instead, we're investing more in their team and ideas. You were right. People are the most valuable part of any company. With respect and gratitude, Roger Wilson." Maya smiled as she opened the box. Inside was a beautiful model airplane, painted in Horizon Airlines colors. It was a perfect small copy of the plane they had flown on. Later that day, Maya called a meeting with her top managers. They gathered in the big conference room, curious about what she wanted to discuss. "After my recent flight," Maya began, "I've been thinking about our company values. I want to make sure we never forget why we started this airline." She told them about her experience with Roger and how it had reminded her of the importance of treating everyone with respect. "From today," Maya announced, "we're starting a new program. Every month, all managers will fly on our planes as regular passengers, some in first class, some in business, some in economy. We need to experience what our customers experience." The managers nodded in agreement. "And one more thing," Maya added. "We're creating a scholarship program for young people who want to work in aviation. I met a boy named Tommy who reminded me that dreams need encouragement to grow." 6 months later, Maya was checking in for another flight. She wore jeans and a simple sweater, just like always. As she walked through the airport, she noticed a familiar face at the gate. It was Roger. He was helping an elderly woman with her bag, making sure she got on the plane comfortably. When he saw Maya, he smiled and waved. Maya waved back, happy to see that some lessons last longer than a single flight. As Maya boarded the plane, a new flight attendant checked her ticket. The young woman didn't recognize her. "Economy is that way," she said, pointing to the back of the plane. Maya smiled. "Actually, I'm in first class today." The flight attendant checked the ticket again and looked embarrassed. "I'm so sorry. I just assumed." "No need to apologize," Maya said kindly. "Never judge someone by how they look. You never know who might be sitting in first class."